Hi, Jim Ziegler, the Alpha Dawg, and this is the Samurai F&I School. Joining me in studio today are two of my better friends. I mean, it's amazing that I've got people that I have personal relationships with in the room, friends of mine. Connor Cummings. Hello, Connor.
How you doing, Jim? It's an honor and a blessing to be here and join with your talents. I'm looking forward to write down some of your knowledge and implement it in my processes as well.
College student, Northwood University, studying automotive finance, right?
Absolutely, and it's been an honor, or it's been an awesome course, awesome program. I would recommend it to anybody.
And you attended my sessions last year.
Oh, they were so much fun, Jim. You bring so much energy, so much knowledge, so much passion. Just listening to your stories, it's amazing.
And an old friend of mine, not that physically old, but a friend of mine for great tenure. When did we meet, Joel?
We first met in October of 2011 at your internet battle plan in Northern Jersey.
Fantastic. And you have attended all sorts of my events since then.
Well, I mean,
where are you today?
so I'm at Mercedes-Benz of Hanover, just outside of Boston. And yeah, I mean, you are my go-to guy when it comes to learning stuff in the automotive field. I would not be the success that I am today in the BDC realm if it wasn't for everything that you taught and everything that you trained me on. So for me, if there's anything that I could possibly learn from you about anything, you know I'm there for
it. Well, usually we have a lot more students in the room, but I am just thrilled that two of my personal friends are on screen with me today. We've got maybe 20 other people sitting in a room on Facebook watching the broadcast. I wish they were here, but guess what? It's going to be phenomenal. Today we're going to talk about menu selling. In last week's initial session, I talked about all the parts of an F&I position. All the responsibilities, all the duties, all the goals of the seminar, things we have to do. It's a pretty complex position. But today we're going to talk about the core of selling F&I. And the core of selling F&I is the menu. Now, I'm going to put something on screen here for just a second. This is my F&I textbook. You're not required to have the F&I textbook to attend this class, but if you do, it's a big advantage. You can purchase this, and I always love it when you buy something from me. You could purchase this, no obligation to buy it, but it's ZieglerOnDemand.com is one of my websites. This is ZieglerAutofinance.com. ZieglerAutofinance.com looks like, let's see. Looks like that. ZieglerAutofinance.com will buy the book. So anyway, menu selling. Read along with me, and I'll paraphrase everything you're seeing here. Back in the early 2000s, I was speaking at an NADA national convention in New Orleans. I've spoken at I've lost track, either 14 or 17 workshops. And I'm the highest rated speaker in those workshops. So not all of them, but I was always in top 10. So anyway, in 2000 in New Orleans, or it might have been 2001 or two, but anyway, at that time I said that if your F&I manager refuses to use a menu-driven F&I presentation, then I would have to fire that person immediately with a bad reference. I mean, that shocked the industry because I'm a national figure in the car business. And for me to get on stage at a national convention and say, you can't work here if you won't use the menu. I didn't say can't use the menu. I said you won't use the menu. Because the menu does not guarantee that you are legally compliant. But what the menu does do is you're not compliant if you do not use it. The menu has several different reasons we do it. First of all, it packages your products. If you had to sell a customer a service agreement, if you had to sell a customer a parts and labor agreement, And the customer said yes, and you spent some amount of time selling that. And then you said, well, now we need to talk about gap protection. And you spent some time selling gap protection. And then you said, well, now we need to talk about your tire and wheel and road hazard protection. And now we need to talk about your key fob replacement. And you're selling one item at a time until the consumer says, enough already. You know, so the menu gives you the package ability to package these things where the customer doesn't perceive they're buying a lot of different items. They're buying the platinum package, the gold package, the basic package, the economy package. Okay. Yeah, they're buying one of these packages, and they don't perceive that you've done all these different sales presentations because the customer didn't come to buy F&I. Remember that. They came to the office to buy a car. And we're selling intangibles. Now, Joel, what do I mean by selling intangibles? What do you think?
Well, it means that it's something that they can't actually touch, feel. It's not something they can hold in their hand and say, I own this. It's almost essentially a concept that they have.
Okay, you remember a service contract's a $2,500 piece of paper. I mean, they better see the value behind that piece of paper. And, the same thing with gap protection or anything else. And I've always said words are your toolbox. We don't hammer the customer into buying anything. It's persuasion and finesse. Just put those words in your psyche somewhere. Persuasion, finesse. You don't need to lie, cheat, sneak, deceive, misrepresent to sell finance. And words are your toolbox. You've got to know the right words to say, and you've got to be able to use semantics. And semantics is using alternative words that are more friendly psychologically that mean the same thing. So I'm using semantics. I don't call it a service contract. I certainly don't call it a warranty. That's illegal. I call it a parts and labor agreement because that is a term that it might be unfamiliar to them, but that's what Best Buy and some of the department stores call their service contracts. So it's more something they might be familiar with hearing. What do you think, Connor?
I agree with every little bit. Like you said, I think it perfectly describes what it is, and you only have so much limited time to really persuade them to purchase a policy. And I think people say like 3 to 5 minutes, something like that. So you need to be quick hitting, get to the point. And if you're trying to defend a product instead of sell a product, your time is wasted almost.
We have to close with a stopwatch. There's a lot of pressure in the auto industry today to speed up the process. And so wasted time. The menu is a 3 to 5 minute proposition. Now, the first thing I want to tell you about the menu is you don't sell anything on the menu. And people go, you what? You don't sell anything on the menu. The menu is just there to identify low-hanging fruit. What they would buy if you would just shut the hell up. There's a number of customers like me personally that will buy a service contract every time. You don't have to present it to me. You don't have to waste any amount of time telling me about the service contract. I will say, what service contracts are available, what coverages are there, and how much is it? You don't have to spend any amount of time selling it to me. So if you're not using a menu, you are spending time selling the customer things that they might have bought otherwise, and you're not dedicating the time to persuade them to buy the things they haven't considered or are averse to. Am I making good sense, Joel?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, it's one of those things where the service contract, the gap protection, all of it packaged up. And I use several things on the menu. I call it the platinum package, the gold package, and then the third package. And I never present more than 3 packages. Nobody's showing you the menu here in a minute. But I call the third one the budget package or the economy package. If I miss on the platinum package or I miss on the gold package, nobody wants to be the budget people. The platinum package. That sounds like American Express. That is right at the top. Or gold, that's still American Express. And I had some fool tell me one time, well, you can't call them gold and platinum. And who told you that? It's against the law. What law? One thing you got to remember about the car business is people reach out behind them and pull laws out of their anatomy. I mean, seriously. I mean, people make up laws in the car business. Oh, that's against the law. And I always say, well, exactly what law are we talking about? There's no law against calling it a platinum package. I mean, that's some idiot that decided that was against the law. It's never been court tested. It's never been legislated. I mean, there's no law against it. My God, gasoline is called gold and platinum, for heaven's sake. So anyway, I have the gold package, starting out with the platinum package, then the gold package, and then I'll have the budget or economy packages, and we'll talk about that. So I present the packages to the consumers. And the second reason we want to do the menu is it ensures that you will present 100% of the products to the consumer 100% of the time. There is a type of consumer that intimidates almost everybody. Everybody's got their own type of consumer that intimidates them. Joel, me personally, it's an old man wearing a hat. I got an old man wearing a hat. I'm sort of over respectful, I just, everybody has a customer that, and then the salesperson comes in and your TO is terrible. Your TO comes in with, look here's 100% of your TOs. Now, Connor, you are a college student, but you just finished an internship in a dealership. Is that true?
Yes, sir, it is. I worked with the LaFontaine Automotive Group. They're based out of Metro Detroit.
One of the top dealer groups in the country. I mean, superstars come out of that group. LaFontaine.
Rapidly growing too. It's almost scary how fast they're growing.
So you've had a chance to do F&I, watch F&I. I mean, you're a college student, senior, but you've seen it, and you're going to be attending my college course at Northwood here in a couple of weeks, right?
Yeah, I might have taken a turn or two,
Yeah,
but I'm pumped for it.
So anyway, one thing about the dealership is the salesperson comes in and introduces the customer to the finance manager in most structures. Now, if there's an A to Z structure where the salesperson's handling 100% of it, the F&I manager is still working behind the scenes. There still is an F&I manager, by the way. I was real reticent to endorse that concept. It works for Walzer. It works for a lot of shop. It works for a lot of dealerships. The A to Z concept, the single point of contact where a salesperson is doing everything, including the F&I presentation. I was totally against that until I came to really take a look at it, and I found out that, yeah, the salesperson's presenting it, but they're constantly during the process being coached by a real F&I manager in the background. It's not totally without an F&I department. It's just the customer doesn't see the F&I department. You see what I'm saying there? So I'm not totally against that concept. I'd rather do it the traditional way personally, but I could teach either direction. But anyway, in the traditional F&I, where the salesperson introduces the customer to the F&I manager, what we call the TO, the turnover, the customer introduction, they come up, and this is what it sounds like in most dealerships. The salesperson's, look, I really need this deal. Don't blow these people out. You start hearing all this fear, and it's possible that salesperson has already sabotaged the deal. Oh, heaven forbid. Yeah. There are certain salespeople that are afraid of F&I. They couldn't do it themselves, and they don't know how anybody else could do it. They're afraid they're going to lose the deal. Well, the deals never come bouncing out of the F&I office, but they think that happens. I set world records. I've never blowing a customer out of the F&I office, but you get accused of it all the time. Don't blow these people out. I need this deal. Yeah, go ahead and get out of here. So the salesman comes in and they've already given the customer some paranoia. Have you witnessed that, Joel?
That was actually me very early on in my career. But yeah, I would say before that I moved up here to Massachusetts, it wasn't unusual for a salesperson to go to the F&I manager and say, hey, listen, these people aren't buying anything, so just sign them up and let them out.
Yeah, sign them up, let them out, please. So you're, as Connor pointed out, you're closing with a stopwatch running. I mean, in the sales department, a whole team of people can gang up for 4 hours and not make a deal. And nobody says about that. Let one come bouncing out of the F&I office one time. let you blow one out. They blow out 3 out of 4 in the sales department. You blow one out in your career, in your entire career. You blow one out, and you're in trouble. But they branded you. You blow people out. You hear that all the time, and it doesn't happen. If I had an F&I manager that legitimately blew people out, I personally would terminate him. You know that. So the menu ensures that you will present 100% of the products 100% of the time. That is one of the key advantages to the menu. You won't have a customer that intimidates you. I was joking about old men with hats, but anybody that's intimidated by an executive customer, there's different kinds of intimidations or preconceived ideas that you personally have, and I'm strong enough to admit mine. So there are times that the salesperson has talked you out of presenting. They don't want the service contract. They've already told me they don't want it. And so then you have a preconceived idea, you don't sell it. But if you're presenting a menu, you are forced to show them all of their options. So 100% of the products, 100% of the time. That is one of the key advantages to the menu. And the customer is not offended because they realize that this is standard procedure. It's right there on the menu or the DocuPad or whatever tablet or whatever you're presenting the menu on, the digital retail, however you're presenting that menu. The customer realizes this wasn't done exactly specifically for them. It's done for everybody. And there's no discrimination feeling, they understand. So it limits your liability. That was the thing I said earlier. If I had a finance manager that refused to use the menu, I would terminate them. Well, that's old Joe. Old Joe likes to step sell. Well, old Joe can step sell somewhere else. I'm sorry. That's just, my nickname in the car business was Darth Vader. Excuse me. You can't stay here if you won't do the processes that we have prescribed as a company, whatever those processes are. I never told a dealership what their rules were, but once I found out what their rules were no room for outlaws once you have the law. Once you have the law, there's no tolerance. I got three things, 3 zeros: 0 tolerance, 0 deviation, 0 defects. 0 tolerance. We don't tolerate misbehavior. There are 0 defects in my programs because in my programs, the sales manager, the F&I manager always has the ability to scramble. Now, my beloved Atlanta Falcons, the line breaks down. The blitz is on. Here come the Pittsburgh Steelers. Oh, shoot. Our quarterback has the ability to abandon the play and scramble. Well, that's a sales manager or a finance manager. If the play breaks down, a manager in my world has the ability to scramble. Forget about the playbook. Throw the playbook out the window. We can scramble right now. So there are zero defects in any program I ever put in the dealership because the managers have the ability to scramble, but salespeople do not have the ability to scramble. They have to stay on the script. Salespersons have to stay on the process. Average people with great processes can yield incredible results. Average people, great processes, incredible results. That's an original Zieglerism, and I believe that. I believe that first time I created that statement back when I was in management personally. Anyway, so the menu ensures zero liability. Now, that is something the dealer needs to pay attention to because the menu documents disclosure. It documents that you legally presented the products and that the customer saw the products without discrimination because of any of the standard categories, race, religion, sexual orientation, any of those, there's no, we didn't violate any of the standards of discrimination. We presented to everybody. There was no deceptive trade practices. Remember, a deceptive trade practice is loosely defined in every state as a tactic or a process that is deliberately designed to confuse the consumer. So it was not a deceptive trade practice. I hope people watching the broadcast today paid attention. It documents legal presentation. Very important that we understand that. It shortens the amount of time of the presentation, 3 to 5 minutes. We're not going to sell anything. Don't try to stop and sell during the presentation of the menu. Just identify. I've had customers say, well, Mr. Ziegler, I don't want any of that. I don't want any of that. I'm not buying anything you're selling. No, and your answer to that is 2 words. Here's your word track. No problem. I don't want any of that crap. No problem. My only job now is to be sure that all these things are properly explained. And I'm required to sign waivers, releases, and hold harmless agreements on those products that you rejected and agreed to self-insure. That is the most powerful word track, one of the most powerful word tracks I ever created. I'm going to say it several times. Let's be sure we all understand the word track I just said. Here we go. Mr. Customer, you don't want to buy any of that? No problem. My only job is to sign waivers, releases, and hold harmless agreements on those items that you have rejected, not bought, that you've rejected and agreed to self-insure. Consumers say, well, I'm self-insuring. Yes, sir. Well, Ziegler, you're scaring the consumer. What tipped you off? Of course I am. Self-insure, yes, sir. Now, how do you, so anyway, that word track has sold more product for me than any word track I ever created. I don't want any of that, no problem. My only job now is to be sure that you fully understand these products because we're going to be signing waivers, releases, and hold harmless agreements on those items you rejected and agreed to self-insure. And by the way, waivers are valid and legal. And you really need to have a waiver program provided by your product providers that every customer signs. Once again, this product was fully explained to me and I agreed not to purchase it. But that's very important. So let's take a look a second here. I'm going to go back to the menu a second. Okay. Number 1, it shortens the delivery process. No secret in our industry that F&I departments generate a lot of customer attitude and satisfaction. you got to remember, in the F&I office, even if we don't sell anything, there's 10 or 20 minutes of paperwork. I mean, people say, well, the F&I, don't blame me, blame the legislators for all the paperwork the government put in buying a car. I mean, there's a lot of things we have to sign. And that's one of the things about digital retailing is they're signing a lot of that before they ever come in. So we're getting some of that, but it still took the same amount of time. The consumer just doesn't realize it. Once again, now this is right out of the F&I book. It's difficult for an F&I manager to try to sell too many products to the same people. The selection becomes easier. It's packaged. They feel better about it. Once we have had the customer turn down products, then we go to an a la carte presentation. And I'm going to get into how that works in just a minute. Now, Zig Ziglar, I'm no relation to Zig Ziglar. Yeah, Joel, do you know who Zig Ziglar was?
Zig Ziglar was a great sales trainer.
Great sales trainer, one of the best. No relation to me. I knew him through the National Speakers Association. We bump into each other at conventions. We had lunch together on occasion. I knew him well from a professional viewpoint, but he used to say I misspelled my name because he spelled his name differently. And in case anybody doesn't know it, I'm follically challenged. He always had the same joke. He said, Jim, I got a joke that'll knock your hair out. He said, oh, I see you already heard it. That was Zig Ziglar's big Ziegler joke to me. So anyway, Zig Ziglar said, a confused mind buys nothing. So by packaging the menu, you are solidifying the packages and you're eliminating confusion. There's a lot of people that really don't know how to present a menu. They've never been taught to present. So I'm going to get into the menu here for a second. Hang on. I'm going to switch screens. I'm playing with my technology. All right, here we go. Now this is an example of a paper menu. Now, excuse me, I mean, I don't mind somebody using a paper menu because most of the menus today are some form of electronics. They're tablets, they're DocuPad from Reynolds, they're digital retailing from any one of the digital retailers. There's all sorts of different menus, but they all operate on several packages. Now, first of all, when the consumer comes in to the F&I office, don't start out presenting the menu right away. I see people sitting there with a menu in their hand, and they start presenting the menu, and they ambush the customer with it when they first come in. Joel, have you had the pleasure of buying a home?
Yeah, I actually bought my first one earlier this year.
Okay, you bought a home.
Mm-hmm.
Did you buy it by yourself?
Yes, I did.
Okay, well, I bought 5 or 6 of them with my spouse. And here's the way it goes. There's an attorney, and the attorney represents the seller, does not represent you. And the attorney hands you a piece of paper. And my wife is sitting there with me. She's sitting there with me. And and the attorney explains that piece of paper to me. And then I sit there and read every line. And then I turn to my wife and hand her that piece of paper. And she sits there and reads every line. And then we look at each other, and I say yes, and she says yes. And then we sign it. And then the lawyer hands us the second piece of paper. And I read almost every line. And I hand it to my wife, and she reads almost every line. And we give each other permission to sign it. And then the attorney gives us the 24th piece of paper. The 24th piece of paper in the stack. And I'm signing that stuff and I'm just throwing it. I'm not reading it anymore. Why would you make the menu the first thing you show the customer when they come into the finance office? You know, you're asking them, please pick this apart. Please over scrutinize this. I like to present an odometer form first. Mr. Customer, this is an odometer form. This says that you didn't get up under the dash and roll back the odometer with electronic device or drill motor. You didn't do that, did you, Martha? No, I didn't do that. Okay, sign it. You know, this is another odometer statement. This says that we didn't alter the odometer in the car we're selling you, and we don't know anybody that has. Sign that. Now, then comes this, whether it's electronic or otherwise. Listen to my word track now. I might present a couple powers of attorney. I might present a couple odometer statements. I've got the customer used to looking at government forms that, you know, are standardized. And then I come up with this. Now, Mr. Customer, this particular document or this particular presentation on the electronics or whatever, this particular presentation is a mandatory disclosure required by the Federal Trade Commission. It is a mandatory disclosure of your financial options as required by the Federal Trade Commission. Did everybody hear what I just said? This is a mandatory. Connor, you're a college student. What does mandatory mean?
Most cases, it means 12 hours past due date in college, but in the legal setting, whenever somebody says it's required, you got to do it.
Okay, you got to do it. It's mandatory. It's required. And by the Federal Trade Commission. Joel, did I just tell this consumer a lie?
No, you didn't.
It is required. Disclosure of everything is required by the Federal Trade Commission. So, Mr. Customer, this is a mandatory disclosure of your financial options as required by the Federal Trade Commission. Oh, sit up, Maud. He's talking about some legal stuff. Sit up, Maud. This is legal stuff. You know, all of a sudden the customer pays attention. This is a mandatory disclosure of your financial options as presented by the as required by the Federal Trade Commission. Now, then I'm going to say, Mr. Customer, you're purchasing the vehicle. I'm going to go down the side of the menu or across the top. Some of them have it across the top. The first step is to review the figures with the customer. Let's review the numbers with them. The sales manager told me that you are paying $28,000 for this vehicle. That's the sale price of this vehicle is $28,000. You've been allowed a $15,000 trade allowance, and we'll be paying $8,916 to Federal Credit Union. You're financing this much. Your base down payment is this much, and your base payment is this much. In this case, your base payment is $436.18 for 60 months. Beginning on the 15th of January. Is that a good time of the month for your first payment? Listen to how I presented that payment. Your basic payment is $436.08 consecutive months, beginning on the 16th of January. Is that a good time of the month for your first payment? Always close on the payment date, never on the payment amount. Beginning on the 16th of January, is that a good time of the month for your first payment? Now, I always default payments in my computer for 30 days instead of 45 days like most people do. Most people's computers are set up to pick up that 15 days additional interest. I would rather have a 30-day default in my computer where if the customer says it's not a good time of month for my payment to fall, I can adjust it 15 days forward. So that's just a personal thing that Ziegler likes to do. But so, Mr. Customer, the The sale price of the vehicle you're purchasing is $28,000, whatever it is. Your trade-in allowance on this particular vehicle is $8,916. We're paying off $6,613. Your cash down payment is $3,000. And we'll be financing this amount. And that's going to give you a base payment of 60 equal distinct payments of $533.18 beginning on the 15th of January. Is that a good time of the month for your first payment? And the customer says, yeah, that's fine with us. And now listen to what I'm about to say. This is a very important disclosure. The law says, now this is case law. This is not legislated law. But there's been cases that in courts of jurisdiction that say you have to give the customer the ability to take these figures home and look at them. These figures or a contract. And you must present every customer with a base payment at a base interest rate, which I neglected to mention there, at an interest rate of 3.9 APR. I didn't present that, and I apologize. It's down there, small print right under the payment. Mr. Customer, you got 60 equal distinct payments of $394.18 at 3.9 APR beginning on the 16th of January. Is that a good time of the month for your first payment? And the customer says, well, yeah, that's good. And then you must say, Mr. Customer, let me assure you, you can buy the car for that. Nothing we do in this office will change your ability to buy the car at that payment, that term. You must assure them that they can buy. You can't pack the payments with any product at this point. You must give the customer a base payment at a base interest rate, and you must tell them they can buy the car for that. Those are 3 items of disclosure you must do before you present the menu. 3 items of disclosure: base interest rate, base payment, and you can buy the car for that. Now, if you ever go to court, Joel, how do I know I said that?
Because I do it the exact same way with every single customer.
Okay, yeah, you paid attention last time you were in my class. Okay, if you ever had to go to court and the attorney says, well, how do you know you said that? Your defense is always, hey, look, I say it the same way every time without exception. How do you know you said that? I say it the same way every time without exception. Now, I'm going to do something here that is not taught in other schools. And believe me, my students are going to make a lot more money in finance than the other schools. But anyway, I'm going to put the menu aside. I'm not going to get into the packages right now. I've already told the customer a base payment at a base rate and told them they could buy the car for that. I have already done my legal obligation. I am not legally required to do anything else at this point. I'm going to set the menu aside or go away from it if I've got it on a pad. And I'm going to get them to sign some other things. And then I'm going to come back to it. Now, Mr. Customer, as I mentioned previously, this is a mandatory disclosure of your financial options. I'm required to tell you what your financial options are because you're going to be signing waivers, releases, and hold harmless agreements on anything that you elect not to purchase, and you agree to self-insure. Now, Mr. Cut, and by the way, I don't fill in the bottom of the menu. I don't put the payments down there. I don't. No law says you have to. I've already given them a base payment and a base interest rate. Because what's going to happen in most dealerships, when you start to present the first package, the customer's going to read to the bottom and say, wait a minute, is that the payment on that package? I'm not doing that. And they're not even going to listen to your presentation on the package. They're going to go right to the payment because it's printed right on the bottom. I do not print the payments on the bottom of my menu. No legal requirement to do that. Somebody says there is, show it to me. I am going to show them their financial options in a minute, but not now. Okay, Mr. Customer, first of all, this is our platinum package. This is our most popular package, the one most people prefer. Did everybody hear the word track I just used? It's our most popular package, the one most people prefer. I did not say it's the one we sell the most of. I said it's our most popular package. And believe me, it is. It's our most popular package. It's the one most people prefer. It's our platinum package. It includes a 6-year, 100,000-mile parts and labor agreement. This is our most exclusive service agreement. It most nearly mirrors original factory coverage. And I'm saying these word tracks rather forcefully in the class. I would probably do it a lot more casually with a consumer. Now, Mr. Customer, this is our parts and labor package, 6 years, 100,000 miles, complete coverage, most nearly mirrors original factory coverage. Most nearly mirrors original factory coverage. What a great line that is. Don't call it a bumper to bumper because the factory warranty doesn't even cover bumpers. So now, Mr. Customer, it also covers guaranteed asset protection. You know, any amount that your insurer, in the event of a theft or a total loss, any amount of your loan that your insurer will not cover. Most insurers only pay book value, and with the chip shortage and some of the things we've been selling lately, we're selling inflated values. You do not, and the car you traded in had negative equity that we financed into the next loan. So you've got some exposure there. Guaranteed asset protection is included up to 150% of the car's value or whatever it is. Tire and wheel protection. You know, you've got ice metal wheels on this car with big, wide Toyo tires. Heaven forbid you picked up a nail or any road hazard or hurt those wheels, completely covered. Lost key fob. Now that used to be not such a big deal, but you know, right now the manufacturer's only giving 1 key fob per car. Used to get 2 before the chip shortage. And you know, Mr. Customer, that my key fob in my car is an $800 replacement item. My key fob is an $800 replacement item. I mean, it's a small computer within itself, completely covered as part of your platinum package. And environmental protection. You know, unfortunately, we live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Mr. Customer. Not unfortunately, we live in Pittsburgh, but part of living in Pittsburgh is we have more than 3 tons of road salt per lane, per road mile, per year on our highways that definitely hurts your car's finish, causes corrosion, chemical damage. There's all sorts of things that attack your car, Mr. Customer. In this environment, you know, we got total environmental protection because your contract with a lender requires you keep this car cosmetically and mechanically sound. Everybody heard that word track? Cosmetically and mechanically sound. So that's our platinum package. Now the gold package, some of the things have disappeared in the gold package, but it's still a very strong package. It's our second most popular package, obviously. Still covers your mechanical breakdown, your parts and labor agreement. It still covers your guaranteed asset protection and your tire and wheel protection, the 3 highest payout items that we sell. It does cover the 3 highest payout. If you had a claim, those are the ones that would pay the most. Now, Mr. Customer, the third package option you have is the least coverage we would ever recommend for anybody. The least protection we would ever offer to anybody. It is our budget package or the economy package. Now, in this package, it still has a mechanical breakdown parts and labor agreement. but I've dropped the coverage down from the best one we offer to less. I've gone from the premium plan to the standard plan. Still six-year, 100,000 or whatever I said I was going to do. It's still 6 years, 100,000, but it's only standard coverage. Now, Joel, why do you think I did that?
To give them a reason to consider the better ones.
Oh, I have an upsell. I can say, well, you know, Mr. Customer, you've selected the budget package, but for $25 more a month, I can upgrade that to the premium package. So if they turn down the platinum package and the gold package, I can still say, well, you got the standard service contract, parts and labor agreement in the budget package, but I can upgrade that for $20 a month and give you the premium package with that most nearly mirrors original factory coverage. Connor, what are you getting out of this class so far?
Almost a full page worth of notes, to be honest with you. What you just did there, the $25 extra a month, that's completely new to me. The philosophy behind it, I think, is brilliant. I mean, you're getting the consumer to kind of start to stomach that payment, and then that $25 bump is, you know, it's a considerable amount, but it's not, you know, $50 or $75 bump.
Well, that exactly. Now, the thing about it is, I did not put the figures on the bottom of the menu. Let's go back to the menu. Okay, I didn't put the payments at the bottom. Most menus have the payments at the bottom. Even if it's an electronic menu, I want that programmed out. There's no payments on this right now. And the customer, I said, Mr. Customer, if this was affordable to you, what protection package would you choose? And the customer's, well, the platinum package naturally, but if I had to, I'd take the gold package. Then I say, Mr. Customer, would you like to see the financial options that go with the platinum package? Would you like to see the financial options that go with the gold package? I don't put the payments in at the bottom until they've already, if they said they'd like the gold or the platinum package, I'm not going to put all three payments there for I'm not going to show them the budget package. You know, remember, a confused mind buys nothing. So, Mr. Customer, would you like to see the payment options that go with that? And I'll show them a 60, 72, or I don't like to show a customer an 84, but I might show them a 60, even a 48 or an 84-month option on each one of those packages. But only after I have presented the package. So bear in mind, I have identified the low-hanging fruit. I used the menu for a 5-minute presentation. I went through that menu pretty quick if you think about it. If this was affordable to you, which option would you like? Yes, the idea. And Connor, how many pages of notes have you got there, big guy?
I'm finishing one, about to go on to the second.
Joe, you got anything happening?
So I'm an audio learner, so I get more by listening to this and listening to it on repeat than jotting down notes.
There you go. Okay. Some people watching.
I got a question for you though. Are you a proponent to prepaid maintenance? Are you for a prepaid maintenance policy?
Yes, I bought one on my own car. Now, the thing about, and I'm talking at the dealer level right now, but I think a dealer should have their own reinsured service contract. And the reason for that is there is something called forfeiture, that where the consumer doesn't make a claim and they don't cancel. Right now, if a consumer doesn't make a claim and they don't cancel, who keeps all the profit on the service contract?
The shop yet.
So that'll be the contract company.
Exactly, or the manufacturer, whoever issued the contract. Why doesn't, there's a huge amount of what's called forfeiture. I believe every dealer should have a private white labeled service contract, and they should reinsure it with a reputable provider, where they get the tax benefits. There's very little exposure on a service contract. But if a customer does use it, it'll save their life economically. I buy them on my own car, and I buy maintenance agreements when I lease. And right now I'm leasing. And people say, well, and I'll get into how to convert a customer away from cash a little bit later in the course. But the biggest thing to convert a customer away from cash, don't be afraid of it. Excuse me, Mr. Customer, I'm a millionaire personally, and I finance and lease my own cars. Mr. Customer, I got 666 digits in the bank, but I still finance 777 digits in the bank. I still finance my cars. Even in a bad market, my money yielded 8 and 10%. Why would you not replace 60? You're going to take $60,000 out of production? Mr. Customer, if you've got $60,000 laying around to buy a car, and your money is earning how much? Oh, 8%. I made 8% last. You made 8% on your money last year. And I'm sitting here able to give you a 3% loan. And excuse me, Mr. Customer, why would you take $60,000 earning 8% out of production? Did you have a brain cramp? Excuse me. So don't be afraid of that. I finance my cars, and I always will. And like I say, I could pay cash. And I used to pay cash for a lot of my cars, but then all of a sudden it dawned on me, why am I doing that? So anyway, we got some comments on the sidebar here. I just, people are saying the menu is a good presentation. As we get down to the end of today, everything is in the book. I'm going to go back to the menu presentation a second. Hang on. I'm going to go back to the textbook rather. Oh, okay, here we go. Now there's the word track for the initial disclosure on the menu. Mr. and Mrs. Jenkins, the sales manager, has indicated to me that you've agreed to purchase this car today at a price and terms we just discussed. You've agreed to 63 equal distinct payments of $629.53 at 6.9 APR beginning on January 1st. Is that a good time of the month for your first payment? Okay, that is an excellent disclosure. How do I know I did that, Connor?
Because you do it every time.
Because I do it the same way every time. Let me assure you, you can buy the car for that price and that payment. Once again, this is basic menu. Now, Mr. Customer, is there anything in the premium package you would like me to add back to the gold package? You've selected the gold package. Is there any item a la carte you would like me to add back to that package? Now, I'm going to go over the menu in subsequent sessions. We're not done with the menu, but I wanted to give every student in the class today a basic presentation on how we do the menu. And, we're going to get into gap protection. We're going to get into service contracts. We're going to get into a lot of things in coming weeks. We've got the example of the paper menu in the book. So understand that we're not done with the menu because we still have to sell the things they didn't buy. And we still have to be able to answer objections and to be able to present the service contract. So where we're going to start the class next week is selling extended service agreements, selling parts and labor agreements. This is where the class starts next week. So let me ask you guys, let's spend a second here and What'd you get out of this thing, boys?
A lot. I mean, I'm excited to learn something new every day. And today it looks like I learned something a little bit more than just one thing. Your word tracks are amazing. What's your process on figuring out these word tracks? I've always been curious.
Common sense.
It's like what you said on Tuesday. You're not smarter than anybody. You're just smarter than the consumer.
Exactly. I mean, I do this every day. There's somebody out there today that's grabbed his wife or she grabbed her husband and, hey, Maud, let's go down to the car dealership and trick the car salesman. I do this every day of my life. Quit it. This is what I do, and I have studied my profession as surely as if I were studying for a master's degree in any other profession. Most F&I managers do not know the things I have taught today. They don't know them. I mean, if I ask an F&I manager, tell me 10 reasons why a customer buy an extended service agreement, they can't tell you. They stall at about 3. Tell me 10 reasons why a customer buy gap protection. They stall at about 2 or 3, and the ones they have are weak, and they're not psychologically sound. They're not persuasive. They're not finesse. They're hammers. I'm a velvet hammer. I'm finesse. Mr. Customer, no problem. If you don't want this, my only job now is sign waivers, releases, to hold harmless agreements on those items that you've declined, not purchased, and agreed to self-insure. No problem. So the idea that I've given the customer permission to say no. When I was a DJ back in the 60s and 70s, believe it or not, there was a song by a group called the Human Beings. And the song was called Nobody But Me. And 3/4 of the lyrics of that song was the word no. No, 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 no. I just picture the customer sitting there singing that thing. In their mind, no, 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 no. Yeah, they're sitting there humming that song in their mind. No, 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 no. Let them say no. Let them get the no off their chest. Give the consumer permission to say no and then persuade them. You don't need to lie, cheat, sneak, deceive, or trick the customer into buying things that they didn't know they got. No, quit it. Our products have great value. Well, Jim, it's pretty expensive. Well, it's only expensive until you use it. The products I sell save people's lives economically every day. They don't have the ability to withstand a $10,000 gap coming at them unexpected. Extended service and parts. Why not include a loaner car at no charge while the service department's in possession of the vehicle? Oh, I've got a whole bunch of things I'm going to talk about. Okay. Somebody just help me out with additional. Here he comes. Let's see here. Is it up there? There it is. Well, excuse me. I'm going to do that next week when I get into service contracts. We'll be talking about all the benefits of a service contract, but you don't do that during the menu. I said earlier, I don't sell anything during the menu. I'm not going to present all the benefits of that. That's the problem right now, is you're sitting there wasting all your time telling about the service contract, and a portion of the people would buy it anyway. No, I'm not going to present the loaner car and all the things that we're talking about. I'm not going to present those benefits yet until I get an objection. Don't talk. See, you're talking past the close. Don't talk past the close. You follow what I'm saying? Yes, knowing the word tracks, but Don't talk past the close. What I mean by that is, this is something I say in many of my classes. Don't answer questions nobody asked. As an F&I manager, you have a tendency to assume what they mean. Oh, they must. I've had a customer say, well, that interest rate's really high. Oh, well, I can get it lower. They didn't say they weren't going to take it. They just said it was high. If you start scrambling to lower the interest rate, dumbass, no. That interest rate's rather high. I sit there and I say, well, yes, it is. Not as high as your credit cards. I'm not going to argue with it until they say that. Well, I'm not going to take it. Wait till they object to answer an objection. I've had a consumer say that service contract is very expensive. Yes, it is. How much is it? It's $1,500. It's $2,200. $2,200, that's expensive. Well, sir, that's a fictitious figure. You're never going to pay that much for it. Service contract, you're only charged for what you use as you use it. And if you trade the car in or cancel the service contract, any reason prior to the expiration, any unearned portion that's given back to you or the bank, and you don't pay it. So you're only going to pay the $2,200 for the service contract if you keep the car the full 6 years or full 100,000 miles, whichever comes first. And in your case, your driving habits, you're never going to pay $2,200 for the service contract. The bank advanced that to the dealer. Don't worry about it. You're not paying it. You're not going to give me $2,200 today. So you'll never pay that. I've got all sorts of word tracks, guys. I've got a ton of word tracks. My vehicle does not run. It's resting at the dealership waiting for required factory parts. 90 days. It is a Ford.
Frequently on road dead.
On the road dead. Oh, stop it. I love Ford.
I drive a Ford too. It's okay.
I love it. Okay. We're 2 minutes over. Has the show been beneficial for you guys?
Absolutely.
Okay. Joe and Connor, thank you for being here. I really appreciate you guys.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you, Tim.
See everybody next week.